welcome. My name is Dean. Nice to see you. Busy day today. It's always busy, but I like being super busy day. We're in the United States today, back in Alberta. We're down in Binbrook, and we're over in Ukraine. And as always, this is brought to you by our friends over at Easy Auto Financial. Go get yourself some financing for a car. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. No obligation. Domination.com. Dominate with content. Check them out and try them for free today. DMNTN.com. And of course, our friends at Ed's Fine Imports, his Gitch. Get yourself a pair. Go to edsfineimports.com. No time to waste. No time. We got no time to waste. Please welcome to the program Lachlan, of course, at Lachlan Cross, at Ryan Lindley. Linz is back. Our friend Hifi is here, and he's here from the Radicalized Truth Survives podcast, as well as live in the Ukraine right now. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Please welcome back to the program our friend and yours, freedom fighter, Ukrainian hero, Alex Dayrabekov. Ladies and gentlemen, nice to see you, Alex. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Alex.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
High five.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. Nice to see you. Let's start with you, Alex, because we know it's a little late there, but last time we talked to you was like a couple days ago. How are you doing? What are the last few days have been like for you? And still obviously in the same part. Where are you in Ukraine? Can you kind of give us an update?
Well, I'm in the same place. It's Cherkasy, around 120 miles south of the capital of Kyiv. But 2 days ago, it's like an eternity for us, because we leave right now and here. This is the time of war. We leave now and here. In the morning, we would never expect and use that at night the Belarusian army was planning to attack us from the north. In the morning, we would not think that the Putin actually ordered to do a terror act in Chernobyl. So we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So we leave it now and here and now, and we try to get whatever we can from this moment.
Well said. I mean, yeah, it's wartime. You just kind of take what you can in every moment that you take it, and you're still smiling. First of all, let's do this. Your son turned a month old the other day. Artur.
Yes.
Yes. And you and your lovely wife sang him happy birthday. That was one of the super moving video for all of us, and I know a lot of people watched that video yesterday. But was that weird for you? Well, obviously, it's got to be weird, right? You've raised a couple kids. You got a little one. It's got to be weird.
Sorry. Hey, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hear you fine.
Yeah. We just at some point we understood that it's a month birthday, so we got some cookies, we got a candle, and just we were not prepared for that. We didn't prepare for that. In fact, I went to supermarkets in here in Cherkasy. I don't know if I sent to you some videos. It's half empty, like empty shelves. You cannot buy vegetables. You cannot buy fruits. You cannot buy cakes. Practically, you cannot buy anything. It's a disaster.
Yeah. I mean, we were watching from over here, and you made mention of it. You didn't know the Belarusians would be coming down to invade. Heard that they sent mercenaries down. Like, what has progressed in terms of what you've seen and what you've heard? Because you sent me a note a couple of days ago, and you're like, "Hey, good news. The convoy's kind of been, that 40-mile long convoy north of Kyiv had been kind of busted up, and they were." Moved guys around. They haven't made much progress there, but as you point out, everything changes in a day, right? But you're still going into Kyiv to the bomb shelters, and what are you hearing and what are you seeing in terms of any advancement, in and around your area? Oh, is he back? He's back. Got him there.
Yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
back.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So about convoy, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, in fact, the Ukrainian army fights back the Russians on every direction possible. There is no way. But in fact, for the past 2 days, the Russian army didn't have any active activities whatsoever. So we continue fighting them back, and in some points we are even pushing them back. So they have no luck. They are like lost. They are confused. They lose morale. it's actually freezing cold here. I came out yesterday morning. My hands were frozen. Can you imagine these guys in their tanks freezing their asses off?
It's like an
It's
ice
really,
box.
yeah, yeah. Nobody could expect that, and that's
Yeah.
good for us. But again, the news of today is that the Belarusian army was supposed to attack
Mhm.
actually 2 hours ago, but obviously they didn't,
Yeah.
and hopefully they will not.
Yeah.
I have a question about Russia's allies. How do you feel about Belarus and about this Syrian sort of involvement in the war, Alex? Are you guys talking about that, or is it just hyper focused on the fact that this is a Russian invasion?
About Syrians, it's really funny. I actually follow some pro-Russian Telegram channels just to see what it looks like, and one of them says that it's totally like s- so a pro-Russian channel actually consciously accepts that this is a total mistake to to move some Syrians or from anyone from east
Wow.
from to Ukraine, and I guess that was just a communication era, whatever era, and they just tried it. It didn't work, and then they switched to Belarus. Lukashenko went to see Putin in Moscow in the morning,
Mhm.
in morning our time, at night your time. So probably they agreed on the Belarusian army to attack, but finally they are demoralized. As per Belarusians, we Ukrainians love Belarusians. They are very close to us. We supported their revolution that happened 1.5 years ago. I don't know if you guys followed it. So the Belarusians actually stood up and protested. Dozens of thousands of people would come to the downtown of Minsk, the capital, every day, and that was a great protest. But finally, Lukashenko, the guy, the tyrant, actually,
Yeah.
swept them away. So we supported it, but I think that Belarusians have a great opportunity to stand up now,
Mhm.
and this might happen within the next days or maybe weeks.
That'd be an
Yeah.
interesting wrinkle in this whole thing.
Mm.
There
Seems like
was a conversation today that some of the bombing was coming from Belarus. So I'm wondering if you guys are hearing that in the Ukraine, just sort of on the ground level.
Well, yeah, three cities of Ukraine were bombed today. Well, and later tonight, several hours ago, the Russian jet fighters flew over Ukrainian territory, bombed some Ukrainian villages, and then turned around and went back to Belarus and bombed Belarus. I don't know if you heard this on news. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
They
used
bombed on the other
Hitler's
side.
the Hitler's strategy in 1940 when German soldiers were dressed as Polish and attacked Germany.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So-
we heard that today. Heard that,
Yeah.
and it was weird, right? Because it's one of those false flag things. It's one of those, and we're hearing more about not just false flag events that have happened where Russians are actually bombing targets belonging to allies of theirs. But one of the things that is making its rounds, Alex, and I would love your opinion on it, is like, because if like over here we can see lies coming from a mile away. That's why we've got Hi-Fi on today. We're going to talk about internet lies, but we can see the fucking lies coming from a mile away. And one of the things that happened yesterday, which got everybody's ears up, it was, hey, listen, this was Russian information. China then got involved in this, and they're like, the United States has 4,000 biolabs over there, and they're making a whole bunch of terrible weapons and all that. Like, when you hear that, it obviously turns up the heat, right? Because you're like, oh my God, the justification to be even worse, the justification to go even further is this thing that they're trying to plant, right? And it's not fucking true.
yeah, yeah, and I'll really appreciate Hi-Fi's opinion on that. That'd be interesting because I'm no professional on that at all. But as far as I'm concerned, Ukrainians do not believe this shit anymore. But this is the only thing that the Russians can say. Oh, you guys have biological chemical weapon and stuff. So this is the only thing that they have. So Russian propaganda just puts this shit on them. They eat it and then spit it back on us. This is so crazy. But the bad thing is that I'm now based in Cherkasy. Cherkasy is right in the middle of Ukraine. And Cherkasy from the Soviet times was one of the centers in the ex-USSR, was one of the centers of chemical industry. And still is. There's chemical plants here. Actually, one of them is located like 5 kilometers away from me. So this could be a target for the Russian, I don't know, missiles, whatever. This could be a target. So this is a bit of my concern as regards to my own security here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no shit. Hi-Fi. Anything on that in terms of like how that stuff gets bled out? Obviously, you got two big battering rams in China and their state-run news agencies and Russia. But just to address it, I mean, you're seeing regular people attach themselves to this narrative as well. Like, hey, he's just cleaning up biolabs and all that shit. It's the old QAnon playbook, bud.
Okay, let's make a very. We understand at this point that almost everything Russia says is a lie and projection, right? Nobody talks about the fact that a bioweapon laboratory in Russia called Vector, capital VECTOR, blew up in November of 2019, right before the pandemic started. Nobody talks about that. So if someone comes at you with bullshit about Ukrainian bioweapons labs, bring that up, because that actually happened. That's a fact. I don't think Ukraine has bioweapons labs, no. And as for the industry, if Putin was smart, he wants to capture Ukraine and take their industry. If he's gone completely insane, then you have to worry about those factories being leveled with explosives.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, he's attacking a country and killing civilians and mining like humanitarian corridors. So I think he's crazy. And that was one of the things, well, we all know he's fucked in the head. But that was one of the things, and Alex, that I was worried about you today, because they said, hey, there's an ammonia plant, like a few of them, ammonia plants in it, or I must be close to you if it's like the chemical capital of Ukraine. And they're thinking of that Putin is going to use these as an opportunity to do false flag events, like you said, and blow the shit up, right? Like, that's ultra concerning at this point for the people of Ukraine. It's got to be.
Well, he has Chernobyl. He has the largest nuclear plant in Europe under his control right now. For your sake, Alex, I hope he hasn't gone completely insane.
Yeah.
It's looking that way, and the way the lies are spreading, it's kind of comical, because it went from Ukraine has bioweapons labs to Ukraine is housing Joe Biden's bioweapons labs from the West. That's now how QAnon has taken that nugget and fed it fertilizer and grown it into what it is now, that's spewing all over the internet. So it's fun to watch it right from the birth of the lie to the steroided out
I don't know
fucking version it is now.
I don't know why you think that's fun. It gives me instant anxiety. I've been talking about this, Ryan, with people. If you've got family that's been sucked into this, pull them aside. And just have I don't know if friends, probably not enough. You probably can't get to a buddy, right? an old drinking buddy. Maybe that relationship might be scarred for the rest of your life. But if mom's losing it, pull her aside, go visit. You can travel now.
It's happening.
And sit her down.
It's happening in my family right now, and there is no pulling it aside anymore in a lot of these cases. Other people that are affiliated with our show, same thing. They're having the same issues with their families. It's gone too far. You've seen it. Jimmy's neighbor there with that whole story. It's the other epidemic.
Well, he's just an idiot. The Jimmy neighbor, right? That guy's a moron.
But I just mean it's gotten to the point where I think it's gotten so malignant and it's spread so bad, then it's so deep that this is.
I got a family member that I haven't talked to for years because he was already crazy, but we've recently found out that he's full on, but he's also full on church. And the reason why we don't talk is because I called him one time and told him to take his annual Christmas letter and shove it up his ass. So
it's a weird way of saying Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hi-Fi, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
So I have to say this. Putin doesn't just wage war on a battlefield with tanks and missiles and rockets. Putin wages information war, and that's what we're losing people to here. You're losing your friends, you're losing your family to this information war that is being waged upon them, right? Why do you think he's telling the lies about the bioweapons labs and the terrorism and the denazification? Because he's waging information war, and he's trying to convince people in Canada, in America, across the world, right, that, oh no, we're telling the truth, this is real, when it's absolutely not real. And it's information war, and we have to find a way to fight it. And this is one of the ways to fight it.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask you, Alex, is how are you getting information? Obviously, like I watched the video of you singing your son "Happy Birthday" the other day, and you were watching television, so I know you're getting television. But like, how are you getting information there with what's going on?
Well, I have several Telegram channels that I trust because I've followed them for many years, and I've checked them. And lots of friends that I know, they also follow them. But I'm a rational and smart guy, so I really check and cross-check information. I check the facts, and I teach my relatives to check the facts. In fact, my mom typically calls me and says, "Oh, son, I got this message," and I'm going like, "Mom, I taught you what to do. Go to Google, and find out whether it's right or wrong." So I know what is right and what is wrong, and this is what most of Russians cannot do, because they were isolated in this informational bubble, and just like Hi-Fi said, this is an informational war that has been happening for years, for decades. He has created this entire alternative reality in this country, and once the people will understand that this was wrong, that would be such a revelation for the entire nation of 150 million people, and this will happen for sure. We all know that this will happen, and that would be such a crisis for the millions of people.
Oh, no shit. Locke, you want to say something?
Yeah, Hi-Fi. Out of the social media platforms, Facebook kind of gets the horns for misinformation. I mean, out of the big ones that we all know. How do you feel about censoring people on these platforms? Like, what's your thought behind it? Or are you more of a let it all out there, and then hopefully the truth will rise to the top? What's your stance on that?
That's a rough one. Here's what I would say. Things that are real, things that are factual, things that we have data for, those should be spoken about. If people come with misinformation that does not have, when it comes to the COVID virus, you have to have peer-reviewed scientific data. You have to have a certain amount of trust in science. You have to trust data. You have to trust facts. Do I want to squash freedom of speech? No, I absolutely believe that you should have freedom of speech. But like Paul Mason, he's a journalist and a political philosopher, he said, the First Amendment in the United States gives us the right to talk about genocide, and the Second Amendment gives us the right to carry it out. And that should probably not be the case, I think.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
well
The
said.
private sector had such a opportunity to step up and do the right thing. Why I would think that they would is beyond me. But to say that, you know, freedom of speech, like you're in the States, it's this, you know, that's a constitutional right there. But it's not when you're on a social media platform and they can govern themselves accordingly. And the fact that we haven't governed ourselves accordingly in the private sector is disturbing. And they've let it happen. And they've figured out how to capitalize on it and how to actually monetize the
No, hang on. Hi-Fi's shaking his head. I want to know why. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
no, it was designed that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you look at the funding if you look at the funding for Twitter and you look at the funding for Facebook, there's a guy named Yuri Yuri Milner, Milner, and this was basically Putin's bag man. These companies were paid to build a shitty platform that would divide people, that could be weaponized, that could be utilized for nefarious means. And oddly enough, if you look at, okay, so let's talk RT America, got taken off the air, right? Except it instantly found a home on the video platform Rumble.
Dude, let me show you this. Let me show you this. This is from YouTube. This is RT's page on YouTube. Gone. YouTube canceled everything Russian state media today. Yeah, so there you go.
Now, YouTube's interesting because that was started by the woman, Wojcicki, and she started this, but she was known to hang out at the billionaires' dinners in Silicon Valley, which were funded by Jeffrey Epstein and attended by Yuri Milner.
Yeah.
And the Edge Foundation.
What's the Edge Foundation?
That was this rich people's bullshit. Edge Foundation, Edge Org dinners. There's people associated with it, but yeah,
Does
looks
it involve
a lot.
another island?
Let's see who.
And the fucking
no, that one
Clintons
involved
probably
Israel. Israel,
He's a
Epstein, Milner. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And you know what I'm amazed at, too? And Alex, I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you do. I am amazed at how much Russian seed money went into each one of these platforms. Like Twitter, Russian seed money. Facebook, Russian seed money.
I didn't know that.
Dude,
I am learning this right now on the spot.
Right?
I had no idea.
Alex, did you know that? You knew that, right? You didn't know that? Yeah, dude. You knew that. Hi-Fi. You and from the get-go. Like, that's the other part. From the get-go, Russians knew. They knew if they could control information, they could control the reality of their people, they could control different countries, they could do what they're doing to people like Alex. They knew that they could tell their people, hey, get on side with us because we've created this reality where we're going to go to Ukraine and we're going to take out Alex because Alex is a Nazi. Well, Alex is an HR guy sitting there going, dude, what are you talking about? I just went to the gym and had a kid. Like, relax. I'm not a Nazi. Yeah. But like that's the part of this, and I wonder, like the Egyptian Spring. You remember when that happened a few years ago, and it was like, and I remember someone saying Putin is looking at this, going, "How can I use this?" Because there was an uprising in Russia when the Egyptian thing happened too, if you remember that, and it was almost like they had seeded that for an opportunity to be able to use it against people, and marvelous job. I mean, we're going to talk to Hi-Fi coming up in a few minutes about the Give, Send, Go business and where all that money came from. But that legitimately came from inventing a reality that doesn't exist, which is like if you're in Ukraine, Alex, a guy like you, that is a very real reality that you're living right now. Like you're at war. You're running. Like how many times have bomb and air raid sirens gone off in the middle of the night over the past few days? As you said, you don't even go to the bomb shelter anymore, right?
Yep. Yeah. We went for a walk today when there was the alarm. We just went up for a walk. We didn't care.
I'm going to go for a walk. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't care. We are not afraid anymore. But as per the information, another thought that came to my mind is actually Russia is following the Soviet Union concept in many other regards as well, but in this specifically. I was born in the Soviet Union times. We had 3 television channels, guys. All 3 actually copied and pasted the same fucking news about bad US that wants to attack the USSR. United States capitalists that sit and want to grab our land. That's what I was born and was educated with. Russia follows the same paradigm.
How old were you when you realized that was bullshit? How old were you when you actually had that age of reasoning where you went, "Hey, wait a minute, this isn't
like
right."
An awakening, yeah. Like, oh my God, I was lied to it on the news.
I was actually a pioneer. I don't know if you know what a pioneer is. A scout, a Lenin scout. I really truly believed in Lenin and Communist Party. I was 16 when USSR collapsed. And it took me another 10 years to actually start realizing that USSR actually was an empire, a prison of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
A total lies. Yeah, so it took me a long time. For Russia will go through the same, but they will have to act fast because
26 isn't too bad. Alex, don't feel too bad about that. I think I was about 35 before I realized I was an idiot. My wife called me. She kept telling me I was
44. I was
finally
44,
came to the Jesus moment for Lachlan.
Well, I mean, but you bring up a good point. I mean, like the what do they call it? Munchausen syndrome or Stockholm syndrome? Is that what it is? Is it like Stockholm syndrome where you're like at the end of this period where you're lied to and you're 16 years old and you're 26 and you're like the light goes on after 10 years. The resentment, like it's got to be huge, which is probably easy for you to stay angry and go and fight these people because you know what you're fighting against. You're literally fighting against not just physical imprisonment, but the mental imprisonment of your family. I know you've got family over there. And it's not something that registers with me. Like, generally speaking, we know the media is full of shit across this country and in the United States. We know that they take culture side and narrative sides, and then they use, their relationship and serve those executive relationships. But what a mind fuck that would be. Like, you just explaining it, that for 10 years you were going, oh my God, I was a hardline communist. And then I realized at the age of 26, it was all a lie. Like, they just lied to me my entire life. It's a country that just continually lies to the people about the state of the union, the state that they live in, the reality. Like, can you imagine not fucking not knowing that this is going on, having family in the Ukraine, and then one day going, oh, it was genocide?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't like a special military operation to save the souls from people from Nazi. Like, can you imagine that? There's like 144 million people that live in that country. And of those 144 million people, it's not a foregone conclusion to assume at least 60% of them are going, yeah, that's cool. Right? Like, the awakening that happens after something that's got to be fucking unbelievable. Like, unbelievable to me. Unbelievable.
Alex,
Go ahead, Hi-Fi.
Alex, when did you learn about the Holodomor? Is that right? Is that the proper pronunciation? The starvation. When did you learn about that?
Since you asked, I knew about it when I was a kid in the Soviet times because my grandmother actually survived it, and she told me stories, really horrible stories about her own family, really emotional stories. I knew about that, but I kind of didn't. I just remembered it, but it didn't, ruin my belief in the Communist Party at that point. Only after it just started coming back to me, like, that's what it is. That's actually Stalin. Stalin killed millions of people in Ukraine, in Kazakhstan, in Belarus, mainly in Ukraine at that point. He just killed intentionally. It wasn't just, oh, there's no food. It was intentionally done to us, to my grandmother.
The starvation of the people of Ukraine.
Yeah.
That was just, when was that, Hi-Fi? That was before the First World War, right?
Oh, I don't remember the exact dates.
It was 32, 33. It was
okay. All right.
Yeah. It was the time when there were like rich farmers in Ukraine who could be a risk to Stalin, to Communist Party, and this way he just swept them away
Shut 'em out.
from yeah. And
yeah.
shut down the entire nation. This is exactly why my grandmother from my childhood and everybody in Ukraine values a lot bread, simple bread. I still keep this habit of, if I eat a bread and there's a little piece, I cannot physically throw it away. I cannot put it in the garbage. And everybody in Ukraine is the same. This is back from Holodomor, from the starvation times, because little piece of bread would matter. You guys cannot understand this, but you
No.
can probably feel it.
Mhm.
I keep it in my hand, and I'm like, it's painful for me to throw it away. Here is this is collective consciousness of the nation, you know. Although I never experienced that, but
My grandmother went through the Depression, and she passed away when she was 92 a couple years ago. And she was famous for saving every scrap of food. And when she passed away, we went to her place in Kelowna, and we opened up the freezer, and there was 100 little containers and bags of leftovers in her freezer, just wrapped up. She couldn't bring herself at 90 years of age to throw any food away. Nothing. She couldn't do it. I've also told stories about this. I think I might have even mentioned it. She also, if she ever thought she paid too much at a restaurant, she'd steal shit from the restaurant.
Yeah.
So she had like napkin containers and the sugar. Yeah. And all her cutlery didn't match.
Alex, listen, I want to get a quick update on the bomb shelter effort real quick, and you feeding people. We want to direct people to your Wise account, which is posted in our description. But how are things? I know you're coordinating the bomb shelter effort over in Ukraine. And how, first of all, like how long are you gone, and what's that schedule like when you go into the city, when you go into Kyiv? What do you? How are the people? How many people are in there? What's the situation like?
Well, actually, I physically did this all last week, starting Monday to Friday, every day. Basically, I would go and do that. But now we have people in Kyiv. I'm far away. I coordinate it online, and it actually works perfect because I am online with my telephone, and I do the table. I do the it's good that I'm not driving the car and running. I'm not running in the supermarkets. I just coordinate everything and make it really efficient. So we cover 2/3 of all underground stations in Kyiv. We started with one. Now we cover 2/3 of all underground stations.
Wow.
And it's cool. We collected all requests from them, and we covered it in 2 days. We spent a couple $1,000. So now I have all the donations. With all the donations, I have something like 7,000. Really, it's a lot. It's a lot. Of course, I would welcome any more, but we will think of how we can use it efficiently. But one good thing I can tell you is that we help the army, specifically the troops that are now defending my place, the place that was destroyed, where Irpin, yeah, and Hostomel. Hostomel was the military airport. So we are actually helping these guys. It's really insider information, but anyway, and from the number of lunches that we provide to them, I can see that there's no there's no defeats in our army. In this,
no decreases.
No
decreases.
Numbers are the
same. Yeah,
the numbers are the same.
That's amazing.
So you go and take the lunches to the troops on the front lines, and we won't have to say where or any of that stuff, and it is inside information. But you're taking the same amount of lunches all the time, so you can see that they're kicking ass. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And the girls who are doing it, they are actually doing it free of charge. I just started coordinating, and then I asked them, what do you need? They said, no, we don't need. And this is Ukraine. Ukrainians are like, oh, we don't need anything. We don't need anything. I continued pushing. Girls, we want to help. We have money. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we would appreciate some carrots and potatoes and probably some rice. I said, okay. So guys, my guys went and bought them some stuff. So what they did some cheesecakes for the soldiers today. And she sent me a photo. I can forward it to you later. And
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like,
Send that to us.
yeah, we did cheesecakes for them because
That's
they're so happy. They're
amazing.
so proud they're doing this. It's like such an atmosphere, guys.
Yeah,
Alex,
your number said there was like 400 lunches that a restaurant was it a restaurant that supplied like 400 lunches yesterday free
Yes.
of charge. Like
Yes.
like the spirit in your community is just it's incredible. It's so awesome to see.
Well, and,
There
and
will be a
listen,
point
like,
that money is useful though, Alex. So
Yeah,
yeah.
We're
so
going to keep
don't-
sending it. Yeah,
don't
don't
be
tell
humble.
people to stop
Don't-
sending it.
Yeah.
We
We
want to
can
keep sending money.
We can keep
Okay.
sending money. You will
Yeah.
need it. at one
Asshole
point.
truckers can get $10 million. We can get that, at least
Yeah.
that for you.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
shit.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm a true shy Ukrainian. We would never ask for like much. I keep pushing on the heads of underground stations. What do you need? They're like, oh, we need toilet paper. And finally they get relaxed and now they're like, oh, could you please get us a microwave? Because ours is okay,
Toast, yeah.
sure. It
Yeah,
costs
yeah,
like
sure.
$50, the cheap one.
Yeah. Good,
Yeah.
good. Hey, there's some symbolism to your shirt, Alex. Can you
Yeah.
explain the choice that you made for the wardrobe for the podcast today, my friend?
Well, first, I bought this T-shirt in Liverpool when I visited it 3 years ago with my son. By the way, my son lives in Paris, so he's a European.
Mhm.
Well, today there was a very important meeting in Versailles, which is the next step for Ukraine joining EU. So I hope
Mhm.
that we will be in EU. UK is not anymore, but we will. That's number one. And two is that two of these guys, John and Paul, they were born in London during the bomb attacks from Hitler in 1940. And my son, who is 1 month old, he also is experiencing this. I hope he will be a rock
He's
star.
gonna be a
or-
beetle. He's gonna be a beetle.
I love it. You know, I gotta say this, Alex. I know that we're gonna let you go soon, but I'm having a really hard time watching the news in Ukraine every day. It's tearing me up, and having you on has just it's been saving me. You've been giving me hope. Your smile and that video with you and your son that you were able to share a moment and have a song and a smile with your wife and your kid there in the middle of a fucking war. It gives us all just a lot of hope, Alex. So I really do
perspective.
appreciate this.
Yeah.
Your time, brother.
Yeah, me
Moment of
too.
Pause.
You give us all perspective, and you make us better people, and you make us feel like a bunch of selfish dicks. So way to go!
Oh, thank you guys. It's really inspiring for me, and it helps me as well because it's really hard to sit all day in the news and coordinate all this stuff. By the way, I also work.
Oh wow!
Well, you're still working.
Yeah, I work, but I don't work all the full time. I don't feel like doing because I have to contact candidates and offer them change of job, and this time it's just like crazy.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's inspiring for me. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you, high five for your wisdom, and hope we can do it again in several days with better news.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
we will.
Yes.
You keep staying in touch. Send me a video tomorrow. I'll send you a video tomorrow, even though it's weekend. We don't want to take a day off. But as always, I'm with you. We're Ukrainian today. And thank you, my friend. It was great to see you. Go take care of your family, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Take
All
care,
right, man.
Alex.
We'll talk to you soon.
Take
That is
care, Alex.
Alex Dayrabekov. He is in the Ukraine. And yeah, right. I know. Isn't that fucking wild? High five.
Fucking beautiful man. Just a beautiful man. My God.
Like you know when you're pissed off that you got to go back to the store for ice because you forgot ice.
Yeah.
And you're like, fucking, my life sucks.
Did it
I
today.
forgot ice.
Milk.
At least I don't have bombs raining on my fucking head, man.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah, it
talk about
takes-
perspective.
It
Jesus.
takes a guy like him to put you back into that track and say, you know
Out
what?
for a walk with the sirens, air
Yeah.
raid sirens going off.
Yeah.
Nuts.
crazy.
Yeah, he said they were going off the other night. He sent me a quick video. We posted it. And he's like, yeah, they're going off. We don't even care anymore or whatever. We're just going to kind of do our thing. We don't even go to the shelters anymore, which is like, we don't know that. Like, I mean, the United States being very different. Obviously, Hi-Fi lives in the States. We live in Canada. We're like, I talk to him and I'm like, it impresses upon me when I talk to him in the videos, or when I get one from him, or when I talk to him on the show. I'm like, I am a massive pussy.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that
is the self-awareness
with
that
that
he
now.
gives me is terrible. It's demeaning.
We got motherfuckers over here can't even wear a mask. You
Yeah.
know,
Right?
and
that's been
look what
brought
they're
up.
dealing with.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they call it
that's-
oppression. Hi-Fi. They call responsibility oppression. We got those up here too. I mean, it is.
They're all from Alberta, but
yeah, or Florida. Yeah, the middle of the country there. But listen, I wanted to have you on. I don't know if anybody knows Hi-Fi. He's got a great podcast. It's called the Radicalized Truth Survives Pod, and I saw you the other day with the people from Midas, and they do such a great job. And you're a techie. You've been a techie for like 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Over
I've
20.
done everything. I've done
Right.
like desktop support, like putting PCs together, to designing networks that actually literally span the globe from China to the States to Europe. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do.
Yeah.
Do you miss floppy disks?
You couldn't beat a floppy disk for security, but it's not fast enough anymore.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Did you keep a bunch of that old tech though? Like you got a Commodore VIC-20, you got some
you got, like,
floppy
a
disks in the
museum.
basement. That kind of
The
stuff.
only thing I still have is my first computer, which was a Commodore 64, and that is in a box in my parents' attic. And like when
They
I
had that
pass,
tape
my
drive?
kids will get it. Yeah, it had the cassette drive.
The cassette
Yeah,
drive.
yeah,
My brother
yeah.
had one of those too.
I just got rid of Windows 95. So
He
Yeah,
literally
when
did.
I jumped on the pod.
Well, you have to build yourself an ISO and make a virtual machine from it, so you never really lose it. It'll always be with. Sorry, that's techie shit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Lachlan.
I didn't
That's what
understand
you have to
anything
do.
you just said, and
What?
you just basically spoke Korean to Lachlan. So way to go.
My bad.
But okay, so tech meaning like you've been in this world for a long period of time.
Long.
Now you've also been, and the reason why we call you Hi-Fi is there's a reason for it, right? I mean, the work that you've done. He's one of the very few people that understands the ins and the outs, code, programming, the internet, misinformation, where it comes from. Like, you're not just a techie, you're a researcher, and you try to err on the right side of history, but it's obviously led you down some dark roads, right?
It has led me down some very dark roads. Another thing your listeners, viewers should know is I'm also a troll. I was on something
Told you you'd
awful
love 'em.
in 99 and 2000, and I went on to 4chan when that spun up, and I actually left 4chan when all the Nazis showed up and the Lolly-chan. They were grooming young girls on that website, and I wanted no part of that, so I left that. But a lot of this information warfare we're seeing is being done by trolls. You have Prigozhin and the Internet Research Agency that actually affected the 2016 elections in the United States. Those are trolls. Now we have trolls in the United States. People, I look at TPUSA. They were paying high school students to post shit for them. We have troll farms like Kiwi Farms, the Donald.win, where coordinated attacks and targeting of people. If you're against Donald Trump, you're going to get targeted. You're going to get shouted down. If you're for Donald Trump, you're going to get amplified. You're going to get the likes. You're going to get it actually triggers chemicals in your brain, norepinephrine, epinephrine, dopamine, and you get addicted to the social media. I mean, that's one of the problems with it, right? So yeah, I've been in technology long enough to know a whole bunch about what's going on.
You know all the warts. You see all the
Yeah.
Like you see what's being exploited. Like think of hi-fi in terms of the stuff that we talk about: misinformation, alternative realities, troll farms, Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg, concerted efforts in the GRU, like literal fucking army guys that are paid to just be assholes online and create a whole. This dude's been in that game since it started, right? Which is
Since 2000s, yeah.
yeah,
Early
since
2000s.
so
shit.
so when you talk about when you were with, because that's really the genesis, let's start there, is you talk about being an early troll or being on somethingawful.com and being one of the drivers of that, and you said you were on 4chan, and then you saw the Nazis and the pedos come in. What yeah, and then you split, but like what was that sea change? What was the point? And not just that, but like where we went from internet access to share information, share good things, to like, hold it, this could be weaponized and used to legitimately topple governments and usher in like theocratic realities that people want to be a fucking reality.
Yeah, what was the tip of the spear
start
on
of that? Actually, I noticed a couple of your commenters were talking about Anonymous, and believe it or not, Anonymous. The first thing that started it was an incident called the Habbo Hotel, HABBO Hotel. You can look that up. But then Anonymous came along, and a Canadian put that together. A guy named Pierre Tanner. His real name's Aubrey Cottle. He's a goddamn national treasure for Canada. I'm sorry. But he also, he started Anonymous. He started Whack Eye on 420chan. And from that grew Chanology, which was a concerted, organized movement against the Church of Scientology. And that was kind of the biggest inflection point, because that's when the online stuff moved to real life. And that's when everything started going a little crazy. The ops we ran against each other online and making fun of each other and mentally fucking with each other and fucking with other websites. We went against, Anonymous went against the Church of Scientology. And I think that was a good thing. I think the Church of Scientology is very much a cult.
This is
but then that turned into Gamergate, and Gamergate was bad. Once again, along came the Nazis and the pedos, and they targeted women. I had some friends in cybersecurity who were hurt by Gamergate, and Gamergate turned into the Trump trolls and QAnon, and that's all it is. It's a LARP. It's an alternative reality game. It's an information environment created to mind fuck people and drive them insane.
Can you give us a year? Like, roughly speaking, when was the Anonymous attack on the Scientology?
That was 2008.
2008. Okay.
Yeah, Project Chanology was 2008. Gamergate, well, it started on Wizard Chan, and then it moved to 8chan, and that was a guy named Frederick Brennan, and that was about 2014-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pay attention, you realize that Q, started on 4chan, moved to 8chan, well, 8kun. 8chan. A part of the problem with these sites like 4chan and 8chan, we talk about freedom of speech. The problem is you get a lot of edgelords, and you get edgelords LARPing and fucking with people. Like, not everyone online is super well balanced. Everyone has vulnerabilities.
Wait, hold it. You're telling me not everybody online is mentally and emotionally
Super
stable?
well
Hi-Fi?
balanced.
Bullshit.
I need to know what's in that
Hang on.
jar.
Hang on, I'm just still shocked.
I tell people that it's either iced tea, watered bourbon, or gasoline. Choose one.
I was going to
I'm
say,
going watered bourbon.
Hopefully it's not urine from one of those Facebook groups telling you that that's going to cure COVID.
No. I'm unlike Trump. I'm not into that.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so you're talking about the genesis of, like, people being able to figure out how to use this stuff, and you're talking about the individuals and the groups that came in and started to pervert the process on 4chan and 8chan and 8kun. But at what point, 2014, so you brought us to 2014. When did Putin start to realize, hey, This is a fucking
Bannon and Milo, Steve Bannon and Milo Yiannopoulos. They figured out they could weaponize the online troll community. I mean, and they had been doing it in Russia with the IRA, but really weaponizing it with, English-speaking Westerners was when Bannon got a hold of Gamergate. So yeah, 2015, and then you've got the 2016 election, and there's a guy named Dale Barron who wrote a book called "It Came from Something Awful," and it's about how trolls memed Trump into office. And it wasn't just that. I mean, there was micro-targeting of advertisements. There was Cambridge Analytica. There was data is very, very important. That's why the Facebook and data Cambridge Analytica hack was so important. I mean, they have data on 300 million Americans, right? Your aunt, your uncle, your people on Facebook who are getting subjected to this information environment that twists reality. That's what's happening to those people. And it's sad to see and to know that I was part of something 20 years ago that has led to this. That's actually why when you see Kurtaner going, when you see Anonymous going after Russia, when you see Anonymous going after Give, Send, Go, when you see, but a lot of this is we grew up and realized, holy shit, we made something that could have been really, really cool. It could have been used for good stuff, but it's been turned evil. Right?
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like fucking fascinating take too to feel like that? Is that you were part of the part of the genesis of what made this capable of dividing society, right? Do you feel like it's your is that what these guys with Anonymous? By the way, fuck, am I ever glad they like us?
I'm kidding.
But do you feel like it's like you're making amends, and is that what a lot of these guys that are trying to advocate for human beings and values and peace and love and the things that fucking really matter? Is that it?
Anonymous is a strange beast. They are literally the feral children of the internet. We talk about latchkey kids in the 80s. Anonymous, a lot of us started as the kids who grew up on the internet. And I knew in the 90s that technology was going to be used. Technology is a tool, and it can do amazing things, or it can do terrible, terrible, horrible things. And it is being used right now to use terrible, horrible things. And we need to stop that. So that's why some of what you're seeing happening in the world is happening.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on regulation?
Yeah.
I put a tweet out today. I'll just give you some context to my question. I put a tweet out today talking about it, and it was, I'm if you would have asked me 6 years ago, I would have said I'm totally against it. Same thing, free speech. Who cares? Everything's fine. It will work itself out. You're an adult. Figure it out. It's gotten to the point now where it's like you say, it's been weaponized against people, and it's gone after people that are I don't want to say gullible, but I'll even say vulnerable. The vulnerable sector. And they know where to get them.
Idiots.
And I just don't know if I think the problem is it would have to be.
They got me fired from a job, dude. They destroyed my marriage. Because I figured out what was going on and who was running it and what was fucking behind this. And I've been banned from Twitter 20 fucking times. And I just keep going back. I've been banned from LinkedIn. Who gets banned from LinkedIn? Me. 4 times. Why? Because I'm talking about the Silicon Valley people and the military people who are behind this bullshit, and they do not like that, and they run the sites, so they control it.
Yeah. That actually is a nice lead into my question, High Fidelity. I hear a lot of conversation I listen to a lot of podcasts, and everyone talks about the influence that Russia has over misinformation. And I watched that QAnon doc, and it's funny. You brought up a lot of the sort of the points that they make and the path they're trying to bring people along. And it's actually, what's it called again? Shit, something Storm.
Is it the HBO one, or is it
It's
the
the
Vice
Netflix one.
The Netflix one,
Into the
Storm or Into the Storm,
Into the
something like that.
Storm. Into the
Yeah.
Storm.
All right, if it was the Cullen Hoback one, that is an attempt to steer a narrative. All right, these people have a lot of money; they are steering that narrative. The Vice one came close. The Vice one got right up to the wall of who's really behind it.
Yes.
Right, and Michael Flynn, Eric Prince, Peter Thiel, MAGA 3X, Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, Pizzagate. I mean, it's very easily delineated.
But the interesting thing about where
Jack
we're at right
Posobiec.
now,
I'd take him out in a second, dude.
He's like,
That guy-
dude, he's like 4'1". Come on.
Him and Andy, no. Those two guys, I would love to put them in a blender, shake it up a little bit. That's what I'd love to do.
Andy is
anyway.
in way over his head, and he knows it, and he's
Yeah.
scared now.
He should be. Yeah,
Yeah.
he fucking
So-
should be. He is a fucking piece of shit. Sorry, go ahead, Locke.
But
no,
here's the
no,
thing.
it's all good.
It's not just the people on the right. They have people on the left too. Don't think they don't.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
The ultra left is just as bad as the fucking ultra right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're woke.
here's-
We're hip to that shit up here too, dude.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Here's the interesting thing, High Fidelity, about where we're at and the conversation that we're having. I mean, you're 100 steps ahead of everybody, right? And I'm trying to catch up based on a couple of documentaries that I've watched as you're going here. I'm piecing things together. But the interesting thing for me is, and this is something that I think is lost on a lot of people, is everyone goes on and on and on about how we got to catch up to the Russians. They're winning the misinformation game. China's way ahead of us. But we've been doing it here. Like in North America, it's they're perfecting it. And this whole QAnon thing, that's not a Russian troll thing, is it? That this was all homegrown. So
it was amplified by the Russians.
Yes.
Tracy Beans was amplified by the Russians. Then the Patriot Soapbox was amplified by the Russians. But no, the operation itself, actually, to be completely honest, the operation itself started in the Middle East with ISIS online radicalization. And Michael Flynn learned that in Afghanistan. And he was telling the same kind of story in Afghanistan. He was like, your mullahs are blood drinking, baby eating, daughter raping monsters.
Yes.
But so what he did is he learned the online radicalization techniques, added his story to it, put a nice drop of what is that? The Elders of Zion Russian bullshit with the Jews and he took a bunch of that too, and he created QAnon. And actually, my co-host on the podcast, we know all the trolls that were in the Discord servers who were back channeling this stuff and how to push it. And you'll hear names like Microchip and Spicky. We have actual names for some of these people. Yeah.
Are you
are you
in hiding?
Me? No.
Like the names you're throwing around, these are dangerous people.
Fuck those motherfuckers, man. I'm from fucking Cleveland.
Fuck
Hey,
yeah.
I was in the Marine Corps. I'm an American. I like fucking guns. I like fucking dogs. I'm Scotch and Irish with Nordic background. Look at the fucking beard, right?
Yeah,
I'm ready to die in battle. And these motherfuckers tried to overthrow my government. That is not fucking cool. It's not fucking cool.
Well, they tried to do that here, and that's why I wanted to get to you. So the Give, Send, Go
Yes.
stuff, which is a huge deal, and you were fucking great with the guys at Midas. That's how we got in touch with each other. Is I saw something that you did with them where you actually laid out the Give, Send, Go stuff. Now, the reason why I wanted to have you on, because it fits in perfectly to the narrative. We're talking about disinformation. We're talking about controlling alternative realities and narratives. And that is exactly what happened up here. And you had a kind of a popcorn fart of it down there because they got lost on the Beltway somewhere and it didn't kind of come to fruition, which is fucking great. But it was the real deal here. This movement, this alternative reality, not only co-opted about 8,000 of our dumbest fucking hillbillies from all over the province, all over the country.
Hold on.
You're welcome.
Mostly
From Alberta, but all over the country.
Yeah, getting better.
I come from hillbilly stock. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Okay, good. Well, it's very different up here.
That's why
our
Lachlan
hillbillies
had
are
to take his
extra
shirt
dumb.
off.
So,
I am sweating up here.
Again, when it comes to the old misinformation, and we pointed it out, 90% of the bullshit that was running around the internet and the cybersphere was all a lie. It was all Russian generated or MAGA generated, according to these troll farms, which, as you pointed out, not just in Russia, they're in the United States. But where it came to the money, which people got really pissed off about, is that we actually, the guys at Anonymous, nice people, may or may not have sent us the list. We may or may not have posted it. It may or may not have gone bananas. We may or may not have been accused of doxing, which we didn't because we only posted the link. So there's my fucking out. It's always going to be my out. It's just the link, guys. Don't worry about it. So what came from that were 1,300 death threats, the police outside my house, all kinds of weird shit because the police were acting according to credible information, but that information turned out all to be bullshit from other countries, etc. All that stuff aside, the Give, Send, Go donor list is still a fucking mystery to so many people. How did they raise that kind of money? This is what you've dug into. This is where you've spent your time. Explain how they did it and what the fuck happened.
Let's go to the presentation and I'll walk you through the whole fucking thing.
I love
Got
it.
receipts.
We have displays.
Yeah, we have the receipts.
Ladies and gentlemen,
All right.
Hi-Fi. There we go.
Let's see if I can do this here.
From the Radicalized Truth
Hi-Fi's just going
Survives
to take over all our
podcast.
computers.
Yeah, right.
There we go.
We're not doing
Look at that.
any of this, just so you guys know.
All right. Okay. So we're going to
this
talk
is
about Give, Send, Go and what
Yeah.
the leaked data shows us, right? And the first thing I got to say, just as you can see, my new attorney made me.
My new attorney.
Yeah. So
What did the
we're
old attorney
utilizing
tell you?
leaked data, right?
Yeah.
This is hacked data. I got two separate copies of it. One from Distributed Denial of Secrets, one from an independent security researcher. I matched them up. They matched. All right.
right.
This needs to be
If
said
this
out loud,
is-
High Fidelity, because you probably could have got this information on your own.
Actually, I couldn't. Of all the things I've done in IT, I've never been a hacker.
Okay.
Because hackers
all right.
go to fucking jail.
Bullshit.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah, okay.
So if the data is legitimate, this is some scary shit, right? If the data isn't legitimate, ignore it. All right. If it's not legitimate, I'm wrong. However, and still to this day, Give, Send, Go has not. They have not said, "Oh yes, we had a breach. This is a legitimate breach." Blah blah blah. But they have called for federal investigation into the hackers, which it really they're security researchers who leaked this data. So does that mean it's legit? I don't know. Is it legit and you're calling for an investigation, or it's not legit and you're calling for an investigation?
Well, most
guy that
people don't
runs that
call for
country is-
punitive.
yeah.
Most people don't call for punitive damages if it's not legit. But yeah, to your point,
You would
yeah.
think that. You would think.
Yeah.
That
All
guy
right,
that
so-
runs that company is slimy too.
So
Did you
it's
see it? His presser?
Yeah.
Every second word
Oh
was
yeah,
Jesus.
he's going to take the. Okay, so here's the interesting thing about that fellow. He was actually a cryptographic expert in the Navy.
Army dude.
Navy dude. Navy dude.
Navy dude.
Navy IT dude.
Wow.
Shocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it him and his
IT
sister
guy.
that run it or something? It's him and his
So
sister
we
that-
gotta look. We got to add another string to the wall.
Well, so we have a string already. If you ever watch the movie People You May Know with Charles Creel and Kat Gellin,
Yep.
there's a direct line between Data and Cambridge Analytica and an app called Gloo, Gloo, and an app called Crew, CRU, which was used to recruit and radicalize people in the military. Oath keepers, 3%ers. That's where some of
Everybody
that came
we
from.
saw at the Capitol building in January.
Yeah, the military types, right?
Yeah.
Can you give a 10-second explanation, just in case people are listening that don't know what the fuck the Cambridge? You keep bringing up Cambridge Analytical, and I think because I need a refresher. I know what you're talking about, but I need a refresher so that I can piece this together.
In a nutshell, Cambridge Analytica was a company run by Steve Bannon, funded by Robert and Rebecca Mercer, that aggregated data in such a way that it was basically an X-ray into your brain. What type of politics you have, what's your family life like, what you buy on a regular basis. And they made these psychographic profiles called Oceans. And I forget what the whole acronym stands for, but yeah, it's a way of, you're this type of person, so we're going to treat you this kind of way, and that's going to elicit a response. They use data to micro-target and manipulate people.
And they were hired by political parties in the UK, parts of Europe, and the United States, Trump being one of them. Actually, Obama hired them as well.
I don't know.
I think Obama hired somebody that went to Cambridge Analytics. Anyway, and so they were used to manipulate votes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're used to basically like hack someone's interests, right? When it comes to like content.
You get to know everything that you had liked, every page you followed, and it created like a personal algorithm of you.
Yes,
and they have that data now. Yeah,
I apologize for the sidebar, but I've been struggling to piece that together, and that was perfect. Thank you.
No sweat. All right. Okay, so next slide.
Back to the
presentation. Go says they take 0%, right? Zero, nothing. And when I gave this presentation, now this is just for the Freedom Convoy, they made over $500,000. But they take zero.
Zero,
Well, that's not zero. Yeah,
I know
zero. That. Yeah.
So Time, after I gave this presentation the first time, Time Magazine took this slide and made an entire story about it. And they actually raised like 2.6 million off of some of the most notorious ones. But they didn't get into the rest of the story. So thank you for taking the story, Time Magazine. Anyway.
And of course you got credit, right?
Yeah.
Of course not. All right. So let's talk about FinCEN and FinTrack, right?
Yeah.
And FinCEN in America is the financial center. FinTrack is the Canadian money laundering, things like that.
Right.
And you're supposed to have, in America, it's SARS. In Canada, it's STR, Suspicious Transaction Report. Right. And that's for any transaction over $10,000. Right. So I did a quick sort on the dollar amounts, and here's the ones. Right. The one thing I do want to point out in the slide, see these two weird looking AUs? Those are supposed to be quotation marks. And the reason I point those out, because in computer programming, there's something called a translation error between character sets. Mm-hmm. And if you were utilizing an API, which is a programming interface, you would see errors like this in your text. So I don't know for sure that that's what it is, but if they're coming through the regular web interface, then you shouldn't have this problem. And there are
like an international, somebody with an international keyboard, maybe, and it's not translating, something like that, maybe.
I'm not sure, but it's very, very weird. It's very, very much not right. And I'll point out more of those later. Okay, so those are all the donations that should have a FinCEN or FinTrack. But then there's this one, right? And I found this one, and this is two $5,000 donations, literally 1 minute apart, as you can see right there, 334 and 335. Right. So does that get a FinCEN report? I don't know.
Why? Because the amount, like if 10 grand is that magical number, right? Like anything over 10 grand and you get flagged. So someone from the same email account, which I think email accounts are really important here with this presentation, by the way, so pay attention to it. But someone from the same email account sent in 5, sent in another 5.
That's not going to get picked up. It has to be over 10.
Over 10, yeah.
Right?
Are they trying to skirt the system? I don't know, but it sure seems funky to me.
Yeah.
Well,
that was brought up multiple times when they were analyzing that shit in Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the press was doing it. They kept talking about that $10,000 sort of benchmark, right?
Yeah,
they wanted to wash it.
Yeah, this is the kind of crap the press does, right? This is the Washington Post, and they're like, "Ooh, here's all the zip codes where people donated from." Okay, that's great, but actually, what I do when I get a data set, and I spent a number of years as a database administrator and data analyst and data science stuff. I actually look at the data to see, is the data real? Do I see a lot of duplicates? Do I see a lot of issues in my data itself? And going through it, what I saw was email duplication. 2,068 of them appear twice. 204 appear 3, and you can see the numbers. I mean, one of them appears 16 times. One email address. Is that organic? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
Let's take a look at some of those. I mean, because that's 5,229 donations. I mean, duplicate emails. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take a look at some of those duplicates. Right. So I took a look. Here's a duplicate, and it's just kind of a sniff test, right? Mm-hmm. I got 4 donations with 4 different names, with 4 different zip codes, with 1 email address.
Would they be aware? I didn't donate, obviously, to the Go Send Fund, whatever.
That's what I'd say too.
One. But
wait till we scroll to the
when
L's.
when you make a donation, High Fidelity, would you be aware that it's going to be public? Like your email address is going to be a public offering?
No,
you wouldn't.
And it could be data hygiene. It could be, who knows? It could be all sorts of different things. But, okay, so you have 3 zip codes from the United States, 1 from Canada, and I looked for that email address online, and I found it, and it's in Japan.
Wow.
I don't know.
Get the fuck out of here.
Okay,
Are you
so
serious?
Go back to that last slide if you can, High Five, because I find, let's recap the work that you just did here. So you went over, you found every single email address that donated more than once. If you had to find it, it was over 5,000 email addresses, donations belonging to multiple email addresses that were used more than once. Now, here, the example that you've shown us, same email address, totally different names. Not only different names, different zip codes, to the point where it's 3 different zip codes in the States and a different area code, 1 in Canada. And the email address is not either in the US or Canada, it's in Tokyo, Japan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, something smells off. And
I don't know if that guy is signaling or if he's
I was
saying,
just
okay.
gonna say he's got the.
I don't know. I don't know, but anyway. But what's really interesting about those 4 donations is those are 4 different card types. One's a Visa debit, MasterCard credit, Visa credit, and a MasterCard debit. 4 different cards. 4 zip codes, 4 names.
They must have been worried about the billing information being available, right? That's why I'm fascinated by the email address thing, right? Like, if you're taking this much effort to, it's obviously one person making 4 different donations, and you're spending time to create a new name. You're spending time to donate through a different source. But then you don't worry about your email address. That's the thing that's bizarre to me. Like that it's that.
Let's take a look at another one. Right here's another one. Okay, and this is George, and George has 5 donations all the same name. He was nice enough to put in the QAnon slogan in there for us in red, save our children. He has 1 zip code, Arizona, 4 in California. But when you look up his email address and his domain and all of that, it's all located in Norway.
What the fuck?
I love how you know exactly what's going on here, Hi-Fi, and every time you present it, you go like this, like, well, yeah, it might not be, but it is, right?
I
You
know
know
what
it is.
I think, but I don't know what other people think. So,
Right.
Okay, what do you
all right.
think?
What do you think? Yeah. Just if we're just talking here, nobody else is here. We're off the air. What's going on?
It's just fucked up, bro.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? Okay, let's keep looking. All right, here's another one. 7 donations. We're just doing our sniff test, and this was just me just kind of going through the data and grabbing different ones. Right, I wasn't like really hard looking at it. 7 donations, 7 names, 1 email, 7 different zip codes, 5 in Canada, 2 in the United States, 1 in Australia. $667, right? And if you look at the timestamps are interesting. Specifically, 803, 804, 806. Like 1 minute and then 2 minutes later, like boom, boom, boom. The reason I point that out is that could be programmed, that could be scripted. But those are on 2 different types of cards as well: MasterCard credit, Visa credit. I didn't have credit card numbers, so I couldn't tell you if it's the same card.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks funky, right?
It's a nice way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks funky.
It looks funky.
Something isn't passing that sniff test of yours.
More strange character translation errors. Okay.
8
So this
donations,
is again
8
coding
names. Yeah, and it has these errors. And now I did find some of the errors were actually emoji stuff, but no, there are more errors than just random. It's something does not look right. So then we have 8 donations, 8 names, 8 zip codes, 1 email address, $750 in donations, 2 types of cards. But if you look at the timestamps here, 1038, 1042, 1055, 1120, 1121, 1126, 1127. Right? I mean, just
fucking wild, man. Like I don't. So part of me, I'm looking at these and I'm seeing what you're saying. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm in my mind. I'm like, is this a guy at a computer making these arrangements, trying to hustle as much money into this account as he can? Who is behind this account? How do you figure out who these people are? Like, how do you figure? Because clearly this is a concerted effort made on behalf of either an organization or an individual trying to negotiate an outcome. So how do you figure out who that person is?
The only way to figure this out, to figure out who the people actually are, is to get the card number, get the address, phone number attached to that card, the person's name, contact them and say, did you do this? We're not mad at you. We just need to know, did you actually do this, because we think there's fraud.
Mm-hmm.
What did they do with the money ultimately in the end? It went back to everybody, right? It went back to
I think it's still frozen now.
It's
frozen. Completely frozen. I thought they were going to send the money back to everybody.
That was the GoFundMe.
Yeah, the first one, the GoFundMe. That was
that's right. This is different.
Did we ever find out who the beneficiary for the Give, Send, Go was? I know Tamara Litch was the one for the GoFundMe, but who was the one for the Give, Send, Go? Do we have an actual labeled beneficiary or no?
There was an Albertan far-right politician named Chris something. I forget his last name.
Chris Barber.
No, it was like Hera or something. I forget.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
Alberta?
Yeah, Alberta.
You dicks.
And actually, he had another fundraiser I found for some girl that didn't seem to be his family, but her dad died. And he ran a fundraiser for her for that a few years back. That was odd.
we have a lot of interesting rules, and I don't know how they compare to the United States. But again, I'm just throwing this out there like mud on a wall, because I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody has a real clear idea of what the fuck is going on here with this. I've sort of settled into the belief structure that they were trying to circumvent any sort of campaign or any rules revolving around donations for political movements in Canada. So that was my thought process behind this when I started to hear that there was a lot of weirdness with these GoFundMes and this Give, Send, Go.
Do you know about Mussolini and the truckers?
No.
So Mussolini, during his rise to power, he would hire these truckers to go around and wreak havoc, start fights, just generally be a pain in the ass. In Ukraine, they have the same thing, and the word they use is tatushki. And this is paid actors, basically. In Ukraine, the tatushki were generally big guys. They carried guns. They started fights in crowds and worked security, kind of like a Proud Boys kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. If you want soldiers, you have to pay them, right? And if they are paying these truckers to destabilize the Canadian government, to make it look like your democracy doesn't work, you got to pay them. And if you remember from the Ram Ranch, some of the conversations that we're having there, people were like, "Where's my money?"
Yeah.
Yes. Well, people on the radio channel like, "Where's my money? When's my money going to get here?"
Yep.
You promised me money, right? And that was something they talked about.
There was a lot of that. Yeah.
Well, guess where their money was? It was held up with Give, Send, Go.
When we first broke the story about the GoFundMe, when we got word of that, we didn't realize how the scale this was, and what got our attention was the Alberta Separatist Party involvement with Tamara
Maverick.
Litch being part of Maverick Party. It was called
Wexit previously. To Maverick. Yeah.
So these are the ones that want to become part of the United States. They want that part of Alberta to be part of the States, right? So we didn't realize that.
Smart people, only the best.
Yeah, and it's still a thing. Like it's got different legs now. I found a new one today that I'm going to write about this weekend, because Alberta, once again, is making news with 11-year-old keynote speakers that are talking about wanting to separate from the country. But the GoFundMe, I thought it was just that. And what got me was there's no way that there's that many Albertans with that much money doing this. And that's what really tipped it for me. It was like, there's no way they're getting millions. And remember when we first saw it, Dean, and we thought $1.6 million, holy fuck.
Yeah, it was like in 24 hours.
It was 24 hours. They raised more money than the Liberal Party did for the federal campaign in the last election.
Exactly.
I was watching for a while. They were making $1,000 a minute for a few hours. It was ridiculous.
It was nuts.
Do we want to go? Let's go back through this.
Sorry,
we'll run through the rest of this real fast. I know we're running long.
Bring back the PowerPoint.
Please go ahead.
All right, so this is the final one that's like really the big sniff test here. And this is 15 names, 16 different zip codes, 8 Canadian, 8 US, 1049 in donations, 1 email address, and 15 different types of credit cards. You got 2 American Express, 6 Visa credit, 3 Visa debit, 4 MasterCard.
Wow. Holy shit.
That is fucking unbelievable. You got 15 names, 17 zip codes, 8 Canadian, 8 US, $1,050 in donations, all from 1 email address.
So this stuff
one?
To me, this stuff to me looks funky as shit, right? Okay, so I'm going to disprove my theory. Maybe it's not all fake. Can I identify people in the data, right? And so you remember that first one, the two $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I found that guy. That guy works at a company that sells rifle sights to the Marine Corps and United States Strategic Command.
Oh.
Strategic Operations Command. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. I found another one.
Yeah.
I found another one. She is a tarot reader from Seattle, Washington. She made 4 donations, $5 each. Found her LinkedIn, found her Twitter. She has a podcast. I was going through her podcast. This is where it gets interesting. I was going through her podcast, and I found this individual, Ole Andre Olar. I mean, and I thought to myself, wow, what a fucking name. So I looked him up. Yeah, he's on YouTube. He's an astrologer. He's also on LinkedIn. He works for a IT company called K4. He is a video editing, I assume, data analytics, and operations. I don't know what operations are.
And he does the podcast with this other woman.
With
the one
this
that made the
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on her podcast. So one of the things I've learned, I started this in August of 2020, and we actually caught Michael Flynn repeating it's a theosophical prayer, and theosophy was started by Madame Blavatsky in India, and like cult shit. Okay,
Yeah.
just cult shit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of this cult shit. This lady, new age hippie
Full-on.
spiritual woo woo cult shit. No,
Stuff
thank
that
you.
Locke likes, yeah.
Listen. If I get enough time with you, High Fidelity, I could align your chakras.
Say, man, I smoke weed. I'm good. Third individual I was actually able to locate works for your Canadian Border Services Agency as an information architect.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Oh my God.
This is a legitimate human being. This is a guy who works for the Canadian Border Services Agency. So heads up, CSIS. Our friend Hi-Fi is doing you a favor here.
They got to do an audit on this guy's
fellow
access. Holy
individual donated $100 4 separate times. Appears to be employed by the Canadian Border Services Agency as a what? What does he do
So
for
now
him?
I'm even more confused.
He's an
Data
information architect.
Oh, good. That's nice.
Yeah.
That'll help you sleep at night, won't it, Canada?
Oh my God.
So
Holy fuck.
So it wasn't just somebody wrote a program to donate money to launder. There's actually people behind
There's real people.
this, and it might be
It's a mix.
more.
Yeah.
It might be more of an organization.
That's how you do it, though. You flood the zone,
why
right?
not?
You flood the zone
Yeah.
with a bunch of bullshit, bunch of people, some real, some aren't. And then it's like fucking, it's impossible to figure out. It's like trying to fucking figure out, where you open up like the cords for the Christmas, like all the plugins and the lights and shit like that. And you're like, fuck, how do I do this? How do I figure out which one goes into which and which one's legit?
You call a guy like High Fidelity.
Yeah.
There are indicators, and maybe it's just because I've been doing data for so long. I know where to look for indicators. Here's another guy I found. When we talked about Peter Thiel in 2016 at the RNC and Mega 3X leading to QAnon, he has a company called Palantir, and one of the guys we found used to work at Palantir in 2015 to 2017. Then he went to the Census Bureau, but it also says he works for Reid Hoffman, who worked with Peter Thiel at PayPal. By the way, did you notice that our Census Bureau just came out and said, oops, we may have missed like 19 million people?
Yeah.
That just happened today. Yeah.
Reid is a well-known, what do you call it? He's even known. Yeah. Pollster, right?
Pollster.
Yeah. Yeah. He does polls. They do polls in Canada, don't they, Dean?
I don't know. Reid Hoffman, no idea.
Well,
At
I know
Convoy?
he founded LinkedIn, and I'm not allowed on LinkedIn anymore, so fuck that guy. Okay, so here's where he is now. Now he's at a company called Anduril.
Okay.
And Anduril is a very interesting company. Anduril makes drones and like military assassin drones, right?
Holy shit.
And they want to put artificial intelligence into these drones so they can hunt people. I don't trust these people with that. Sorry.
Wow.
What do you do for fun, High Fidelity?
I smoke weed.
Yeah, I would too. I'd do a lot of drugs if I were you right now. Like that knowing what you know here.
Well, these are big time fucking players, right? I mean, holy
Jesus.
shit.
Well, ask me, I've been coming after them since August 2020. You notice that Peter Thiel just ran away from Meta.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Was that you?
Well, I'm part of the movement that's driving these people back. That's why you create. What started me was Kyle Rittenhouse. You don't get the fundraise off of killing two people. I'm sorry, you don't.
Yeah.
And then
Well
I met Jim, my co-host for Radicalized Pod, and he was going after QAnon, and QAnon actually crossed my network with an attorney named Ellen Wood, and then I realized what was going on with QAnon, so I started going after QAnon. I have screenshots of people who ran QAnon calling me a terrorist, which is I'm gonna hang that shit.
There's a lot to
Put it
unpack
in-
here.
It's like them
I
trying to
scared
say
the
uncle.
fuck out of
Please
those people.
stop.
Well, of course you do,
scared-
because you know how to do what they're doing, right? Like, you know what they're up to. You
And
know
do it
how to
better
stop
than
them.
them.
Yeah.
That's it. You're staying one step ahead of them. Thankfully, we have people like you, like that's the only thing that I try to keep in the back of my head is thankfully there are people like High Fidelity out here doing this kind of thing and exposing it and putting it out here. And if you choose to look at it, you choose to understand it and choose to do your own research and follow along, but it's worth it because this is scary shit.
So what is this slide we're looking at? Distribution of
Yeah.
donations by dollar amount.
So after looking at everything and saying, okay, I see a bunch of fake shit, I see some real shit. What does it look like overall, right? And as you can see, there are spikes, right? But most of the time in fundraising, you'd see an angle, right? You'd see a bunch of low dollars, and then it would go down, right? Just as the dollar amount got higher, you get fewer and fewer. You kind of see that, but not really, because you have those two huge spikes. The two biggest spikes from there at $50 and $100, and it's not by date; it's by dollar amount. But then you also have spikes at 150, huge spike at 250 or 200, another spike at 250, 300, 400, 500, and 1,000 going to the right as you look at it. And it's really hard to see. I put it up on SlideShare for people to look at. Maybe we can put the link in the comments sometime so people can actually go and dig into this. And this does not look like an organic distribution for fundraising, right? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to break it out by card to see if maybe it's just one card that's throwing things off. And actually what I found is you have the same distribution pattern on every type of card. They all have that spike at 100 and then other spikes at 150, 200, so on and so forth down the road. Too convenient.
Yeah.
Programmatic is my thought.
Yeah, it's almost like it was they didn't put any sort of variety in the like.
Yeah, they just
think
said
this far
here's
ahead.
how we're going to do these things.
Yeah, they didn't think there was going to be somebody like you on their tail.
Well, and then if you see on the very far right there, that it's hard to read, but it's got a red line under it. That says blank.
Why?
Exactly. What? How do you have
What do you
blank donate? There's no credit card type, and there's no funding type for that credit card. There's nothing. There's zero.
Email transfer?
Crypto?
There's nothing. No card. No nada. I don't know.
That's just money.
But
They
the
came
money-
in and there's
the money
no
still went in.
idea. Yeah, there's just money. They
not
came in and no
allocated to
idea how to
anybody.
attribute it.
Were you
Like,
able
no
to break
clue.
that out on a dollar amount? Of course you were.
Yeah, here
Of course
you
I did. and what I found is, on my podcast with my co-host, we had a host called named Marty Shield, and he's a former IRS investigator, and he told us about something called structuring. And structuring is when you take a bunch of prepaid cards, right, and you do stuff like this. You do online fundraising with them, and then the fundraiser will give the person the money back. They'll take a little bit, but they'll give the person the money back. Boom, you've got clean money.
Yep.
Right. $68,000 in prepaid cards. In blanks, it was $39,000, almost 40. and that's a total of $108,000.
Just
Out
in
of
that
nowhere.
alone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and like they really think like they're if you're an auditor, they want the auditor to think that somebody literally went out to the corner store, bought a prepaid Visa to come and donate it to these fucking idiots.
Maybe.
Wow.
The way you could find out is you could get all the prepaid card numbers and figure out where they were, because these fuckers are lazy. They'll just buy shit in bulk, right?
Oh, so they'll probably be sequential.
Maybe they bought 50 of them from one place and 50 from another place, or who knows, right?
Shit.
Fucking wild, dude. So you got what do you have there? $8.5 million bucks. That was the grand total of the money or some donations that you.
Of the so there was a fifth leak after I got. Well, there was a fourth, then a fifth leak after I got this. That was the total amount when I got the data leak.
At
It
the
actually
time of
went
that
up
leak.
to 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is when we got it as well, Dean. Just for reference, I think this is right around the same time.
We got I put out the first leak.
No, you didn't. Somebody else did, and you just linked.
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
I just linked to the third leak.
Yeah.
That's all I did.
Remember,
All right. So here's the one that really
we need high fidelity's lawyers.
Yeah.
Here's the one that really messes with me, though. Check this out. JCB, formerly Japanese Credit Bureau. I have family in Japan, so I know the name of this bank. This is a Japanese bank, but they only did 4 transactions, 5, 15, 2100. It's almost like they did a test run to see if they could get transactions through that bank.
Oh wow!
Holy fuck!
That is the weirdest fucking little detail. There's only those 4 little donations.
Who is looking into this? I know everyone keeps going, we're going to investigate the money, but who is? Like, who would be responsible for digging into this in Canada? And then why would the United States be? Why is this news in the United States, High Fidelity?
Okay, so the first part is, if I am right, this has actually been occurring through a number of different venues. The Republican Party has online fundraising that utilizes for-profit companies. The left has a thing called Act Blue, where you can donate on your credit card, except the guy who started that went and worked for a Peter Thiel-funded company called Stripe. That is actually the payment processor of Give, Send, Go.
It's all tied to the relationships of the individuals.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know,
it's just, there's so much
going on.
I can't even describe
there are a few individuals that have their fingers in all the pies, and then it kind of spreads out, and they're hiding in plain sight in these donor lists with actual donors, in these movements with actual human beings. Like, the one thing I would ask you is this: is that you made mention of this earlier. This is a test run. You got real people in there. You talked about the need to pay these people like they did with the Tatushki. Is that what? Am I saying that word right? The Tatushki?
Yep, Tatushki, the soldiers, the protesters.
So right these are the virtual Tatushkis, and so part of that money was going to pay them for their effort to disrupt what we were doing in this country, which is just trying to fucking get by like everybody else is. So that's what that was for. But you talked about washing money or laundering money,
or circumventing contributions to political parties.
Right. What part of the laundering process do you think is going on here?
So, I can't tell you where I heard this, but I do hang out in some dark corners of the internet. And but I did hear there was some chatter that a lot of the credit cards in the data looked like hacked or compromised cards, like they'd been hacked or compromised previously. So it's very possible that they're figuring out a way to launder money to political candidates, also to operatives. I mean, if you look at who is fundraised on Give, Send, Go, even prior to the trucker convoy, you had a lot of the January 6th Proud Boys raising money for travel, raising money for hotel rooms, raising money for body armor. Now they're raising money for lawyers on there, right? Like John Eastman, the attorney who's gonna end up in front of the January 6th committee. He's fundraising on that.
They're
right?
throwing the book at those fuckers.
Yeah.
As well they should.
Yeah.
They're making examples, and it's nice to see.
The first guy just got taken down.
Fucked.
Yeah. Here's the thing I don't think a lot of people look at, and because one of the things about me designing global networks is I look at things as a global network. And if you'll notice, Germans had QAnon and they had something called Querdenken, which was lateral thinker, and they stormed the Reichstag in 2020. And the Swedish parliament was raided, and there have been assaults on seats of government all throughout Europe. There have been a number of coups in West Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Sudan. Those coups have taken place in places where Russia either has Wagner troops, which is their mercenary army, or Eric Prince has people. As a matter of fact, you could even look at the assassination of the president of Chad as a direct result of Eric Prince training rebels for Haftar in Libya, and he got caught violating sanctions in Libya. So he left, and his rebels went south and ended up killing the president of Chad.
Can you send me some of your weed?
Dude, all I do, I read the news and I look at what's going on throughout the globe, and I'm like, that's the same as that. It's the same shit. And really what it comes down to is something called a playbook. Like if you work in IT, your manager has a playbook, right? Like if we have this situation happen, here's our playbook, and this is how we're going to act when these things happen. Paul Manafort in the Ukraine. Paul Manafort was one of Donald Trump's people. He was in the Ukraine. He was pushing for Putin's people. One of the things they did was they did a lock her up thing with a woman named Yulia Tymoshenko, right? And they actually locked Yulia up for 7 years. Mike Flynn brought that to the United States. They wanted to lock Hillary Clinton up, right? If you look in Bulgaria, and I know this is getting weird for a lot of people, but if you look at Bulgaria, they had a president named Radov. They had a president named Borisov. And Borisov was trying to lock him up to Radov. When I pointed that out on Twitter, 3 days later, 8 Russian spies were kicked out of Bulgaria, and Borisov had to go on television and tell Putin to knock it off, and then he stepped down from power shortly thereafter.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. That's hot. That's probably why you got kicked off Twitter, because you took down a whole government.
It's always been a dream.
He just called that. He just calls it Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Well, so I have a political party actually, and people always ask me, "Well, you're a leftist. You're a right." No, actually, I'm completely outside of all of that. I am a people's utopian technocratic anarchist, aka a puta. Yes. But I do believe that humanity can build towards something better. I do believe that technology and smart people need to lead the way. And eventually, when everybody's really well educated and well behaved, and we're not acting like fucking rabid primates anymore, we're not going to need police. We're not going to need, the awful shit that happens. Let's have robots do our fucking labor for it. Why aren't robots farming for us right now? Right? Why do I have trillionaires and kids starving in Africa? Why do I have babies being bombed in Ukraine? That's not how this was supposed to go. What the fuck?
Well, we need more people like you. And if you get a chance to listen to his podcast, please subscribe to it. It's called Radicalized Truth Survives Podcast. That is our friend Hifi. We're going to put I think the actual thing is in the description, your slideshow and the presentation that you did for the Give, Send, Go. So lots of people in the comment section are like, holy fuck, I can't believe it. That's unbelievable. Now that people can see, and the whole goal in having it here was to show people, hey, listen, that wasn't real. Like you have to understand if it's not real, then you can get relief from the fact that you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be scared. You can actually fight back. You can speak your truth. You can walk around and go, hey, there is a right and there is a wrong, which is what you guys are trying to do and what people like you are out there doing. And I said this the other day about Anonymous, and it goes for guys like you too. This is that time in our life when real individuals have to fill the fucking gap between non-regulation, deregulation, regulation, shitty governments, war, misinformation, disinformation. So, as always, great to have you here and great to be educated by somebody who knows so much more about this than we do. Thank you very much for the work that you did. And follow these guys, Radicalized Pod. On Twitter, I believe is the Twitter handle. It's a great podcast if you want to learn about how this shit works. I listened to your last podcast, and the funny part was I watched the video of it first on Twitter, and it was great because I'm like, is Hi-Fi smoking a 12-foot joint in the middle of this?
Know.
And he was.
As it is technically illegal to smoke joints, I am a medical marijuana patient. I broke my back in 2004. Had 2 surgeries. I'm medical marijuana. However, what I smoke are beedies. Those are Indian cigarettes made of a certain blend of herbs and spices.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes.
I stand corrected.
Hi, Fideli. Before you go, I just wanted to share something with you. I set this up on my iPhone.
Oh, here we go.
It's called the back tap.
What's going on here?
He wants to show you how much of a tech genius he is because he can tap his phone twice and the camera comes on.
Fucking end of this.
And dude, he's like a tech savant, really.
It's an iPhone. It's in settings, and you hit the back twice, and it brought my camera up.
Nice.
There you go. Play with that. You can put a flashlight on that too. Yeah, you can pick.
That's some useful shit, man.
Do you guys know how Hi-Fi broke his back? It was from carrying fucking guys like Locke.
Yeah, around all the time. Hi-Fi, thanks, buddy. It was great to finally bring you onto the show. I know we worked towards it this week. Hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself enough that you'll come back.
A lot.
Yeah,
absolutely. And 2 things I got to say. One is I've recently spoken to a January 6th advisor about this data. They gave me marching orders. I'm going to be doing an analysis of the entire data set to see if these patterns exist. But they did say to me, I've seen enough to believe that it is what you think it is. So this should be fun.
Holy shit.
Yeah, keep us posted on that.
Yeah, follow Hi-Fi. This is
a similar. So the January 6th fundraising is sort of a similar thing here that we dealt with in Canada.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Same website.
I bet you
Since
Kyle
in
Japan on that list too.
Huh?
Yeah, Rittenhouse really broke the fucking mold, didn't he? Like it's like the Rittenhouse effect. It's just like a fucking butterfly effect for everybody.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, the whole thing was I asked them to take it down, and they told me no. You don't fucking tell me no. So now I got to destroy everything. Fuck. So yeah,
he's like us. I told you you'd love him. Hi-Fi, thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Great to talk to you.
That was awesome, man. That was really cool.
Thank you so much.
You share that back tap thing with your friends.
Yeah.
I shall.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to you soon, buddy. There you go. That is Hi-Fi from the Radicalized Truth Survives podcast. Just what a fucking great guy. Talk to him earlier in the week.
God.
Yeah.
That fucking blew my mind.
It's almost
I didn't get any of it.
He's one of those dudes
that's
so smart and he follows this shit and he's like, he's one of those guys that has access to information that scares most people. You know what I mean?
And yet he uses it for the right reasons. And
hard to believe, isn't it?
This is what you need. This is what we all need. We need people like him. We need more people like him out there right now just to try and I keep talking about the regulations, but maybe
10 steps behind.
Oh no,
dude! I was like, and as he was, the great part about Hi-Fi is he explains it. He explained it to us like we're Canadian. He's like, hey guys, Here's the deal.
I
And he
still felt
pointed to
10 steps.
things.
I still
Because he
felt
didn't.
like,
He
Well,
didn't.
he's smarter than us.
Because he didn't explain it in Western Canadian.
Wait for me. You're driving too quick.
Oh man, I can't wait to have him
Speaking of
back.
Western
I got to
Canadian,
go to the bathroom quick.
Yeah, you
I'll
go
let
take
guys
a
deal
piss.
with Jimmy.
Please welcome to the program my friend James P. White, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. James P. White from the Jedi Jimmy podcast. Jay, how you doing, buddy?
Great.
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching High Fidelity too, and it kind of blew my mind. You go from talking to that to lightsaber combat.
Well, that's why we wanted to have you on last, because lightsaber combat is way more fun than telling everybody, hey, watch out, the deep state's a fucking not what you think it is. What the fuck happened to your hair, first of all? Fuchsia?
I'm glad we're talking about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we dyed my hair because on cruise we brought in a new girl, Pam Kirby. And so we did this kind of to troll her because she always has pink hair.
Mhm.
And so why not?
Well, because it's forever. Like,
Oh, no. Have you seen my hair grow? I'll have a brand new head of hair by probably April.
okay. Well, dude, I like how you rocked it. I mean, and it was perfect because you put out your very first Jedi Jimmy Star Wars lightsaber discipline podcast video. I know that's a long title, but that's what it is, right? Like your new podcast called the Jedi Jimmy Podcast is you teaching people the disciplines of lightsaber. I'm gonna play a little clip, okay? This is a clip from the actual program, but you have 7 of these coming out. Here's a clip from the first.
Then you can use the wing block to protect your back, either the right wing or reverse wing. Then the downward block to protect zone 5, or a reverse downward block to zone 6 or your right leg.
Now, I have to.
Are you going to be able to ask your question?
Have a good weekend, everybody.
I don't know. I have to ask you some questions. So, okay. So, what is the outfit you're wearing? Is that Darth Vader's?
That's Darth Vader. Everything but the helmet. I
Okay.
had a hard time handling the lightsaber with the helmet on.
Yeah, I know.
Would have missed out on the hair as well.
Yeah.
The hair really does it for that video. And it matches your lightsaber, even for Christ's sake. Like you look great.
So there are 7 disciplines
Yes.
of lightsaber sorcery. Is that how you call? Explain it.
It's lightsaber combat. So
Lightsaber combat. Okay.
because the thing is though is it's evolved throughout the time of the Jedi Order. Like the one that I did, Form 1 was the original one, going specifically with the code of the Jedi, which is self-defense only. So you're not actually attacking the limbs of someone. You're trying to disarm them or at least hurt them so that they can't attack you. Form 1 isn't really dealing with trying to kill anybody. Form 2 is what I'm going to be talking about next week, which is basically the one-handed sword play, like using like the French rapier or fencing. And then Form 3 is when they start getting into learning how to defend against blaster fire, deflecting, stuff like that. Form 4 is Yoda's, where you're doing all these flips and jumps, and it's very acrobatic and very aggressive. And then it gets, and then Form 5,
Which is
that one is more to the effect of where you're doing both. You're not only defending, but you're also using the blaster fire to deflect back and strike your opponent. And that 5 and 6 are more like what Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader do in the original movies. And then Form 7 is more aggressive. It's borderline between Jedi and Sith because it's a little more aggressive. The main practitioner of that one is Mace Windu, because he.
Oh, Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed the breakdown of disciplines 1 through 7, Locke.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh.
Why does it always look like you're hosting a beheading video, Jimmy? Clean
You
your
mean talking
screen or something.
My screen's fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's
I gotta-
behind you. I think
I
he's
gotta
talking
pee
about
now,
behind
too.
you. Yeah,
Thanks, Locke.
So let me ask you something. You know all of these disciplines, like every single one?
I know techniques in them, but for the podcast, I'm actually watching videos. I'm reading up
Practicing.
in the Jedi texts
Yeah.
and practicing the techniques.
All right. So we've got another clip. I want to bring this clip in. This is more of the first discipline that you covered yesterday. Can you tell us, first of all, let's play this, and we'll just kind of play the intro, because the intro's pretty long. Like, it's beautiful, but it's pretty long.
This is the nerd you're looking for.
Episode, I'm going to be dealing with Form 1, also known as Shicho, or Way of the Sarn.
So, hang on. Way of the what? What is it?
Or Way of the Sarn. Or Way of the Sarlacc.
What is that? Way of the Sarlacc?
Yes.
Okay.
The Sarlacc, because like a lot of the disciplines, they have names that are based on animals or things like that.
That's that Sarlacc pit that was in
the Sarlacc pit
the
in
Empire Strikes
Return of the
Back.
Jedi.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sort of like
Return of the
Empire
Jedi.
Strikes Back, but it was Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Nice try, Locke.
Okay, so here we go.
Form 1 of the lightsaber combat is wild and raw, wild and raw, wild and raw, wild and raw, and it relies deliberately on tactics that you can use a high block to protect
This is
against
awesome.
your head. You can either use it this way
Dean, you're leaking.
or that
I love
way
this.
as a high
I
block.
burst out laughing
Also,
when I watched that.
so and then the outside block is to defend your left arm, and then reverse outside block for your right arm, and then then you can use the wing block to protect your
He looks
back,
so surprised.
either the right wing or
The left.
reverse wing.
Jimmy,
Then the
I
downward
fucking
block.
love you. I swear to God,
I love you so much.
don't go changing.
Don't.
I was
You.
just trying to do it.
Oh, fuck. You are such a weapon. This is incredible.
Zone
He
5.
sent me the video. He did the video. He goes, I got a couple of ideas.
Or
He was
reverse
explaining to
downward
me.
block.
He goes, I'm gonna
to
do
zone
it, and then I'm gonna send it to you. You give me your notes.
Yeah.
I started watching it, and I'm like, I can't. Like,
It's the best thing I've ever seen.
I just like, do not change a fucking thing. Like,
No.
there's no notes. There's no notes. Just
Dude.
put it out as is.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I love
Yeah.
about this one is how, like, you explain it and you go, okay, this is the thing. You can do it on the right, and then you're like, alternatively, you can also do it on the left.
You're right. But the thing is, though, is there's 7 techniques.
Yeah.
And there's one for the right, one for the left, and then there's
Yes.
a reversed and inverted, and then the
I know,
back
but you
tap.
explained it here,
You
which
have
I'm
to
like,
explain it.
this
You
is
have to explain
incredible because, like, a lot of people wouldn't know. Not only can you defend from the right, you could also,
I have a question.
in a pinch, defend from the left.
So the
pointed to.
the Form 1 or whatever this is called that you're demonstrating in the
Shicho.
latest
Okay, yeah.
Shicho, the latest podcast, which is up on any of the podcast networks or anywhere where you get podcasts,
Yeah.
including the Dean Blundell show webpage. But also, is there's a person or there's somebody that's famous for using it? Did you coordinate the color of the lightsaber used in the demonstration to the person that's famous for this in the Star Wars universe?
I for this one here, because as I explained in the podcast, After the Revenge of the Sith, Darth Vader started using more of Form 1, but more of an aggressive version of it. So he was actually going for the arms, not that. So that's why hence the Darth Vader outfit. Like
and he used the red.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah, his red. His red is bad.
I can explain if you want me to teach you how they bleed a lightsaber to turn the kyber crystal red. I can go through that with you too.
That's okay.
You have to remove it from your bum first, though, right?
Yeah, is that true? Do you have to remove the buyer crystal from your anus before you put it in the lightsaber? Is that true?
No, it's actually the kyber crystal from a dead opponent that you. That you
from his bum,
from his bum,
from their bum,
yeah. It's in. So these like your enemies have crystals in their anuses.
No, it's in their
all the Marvel characters do. Aquaman,
it's in their lights. Wonder Woman. This is why I like doing.
But what's going on? Why do they put crystals in their assholes?
Crystals in their bums.
Well, you just said they put crystals. They put lightsaber crystals in their assholes. That's what you just said.
No, that's what Locke just said.
I heard you say that.
The kyber crystal is in the lightsaber.
Yeah, you just said anus though.
That was Lachlan. That's why I don't like to do this shit on our show.
Kegel.
This is turning into the locker room just with 4 assholes instead of 2.
See, you just talked about it again. So who puts the lightsaber in the asshole? Is it the Jedi or the non-Jedi?
There's no light crystals in assholes.
Okay, so there's no asshole at all.
Jedis don't have assholes.
I had no. How do they poop?
They don't fight with their assholes.
Maybe that's why they're so mad.
I just had a fight in the bathroom.
Let's watch more of the video.
These techniques, both the attacks and defenses, you can mix in various different martial arts techniques like kicks or strikes.
Here comes a kick.
Wild and raw.
Wild and raw.
The Jedi Jimmy Podcast.
Where
you get your podcasts.
Wild and raw. The Jedi Jimmy
Wild
Podcast.
and raw.
It is awesome, dude. I watched
good.
that video about 8 times yesterday, and not only was I fucking loving every second of it, laughing at your sense of humor, watching you entertain people, but you fucking know this stuff. Like you legitimately know these disciplines. Like look behind you. You've got like an entire shrine set up to like the weapons of Star Wars.
See, the thing is though, with the lightsaber combat, it's no different than like as I said when I was talking about the kicks and stuff like that, as the martial arts combat or the hand-to-hand combats that have done over the years. Like so like this one here, Form 1 is like broadsword combat, like what Conan the Barbarian used, and then there's, as I said, Form 2 is like the rapier sword. So it's
the rapier sword.
Yeah,
the rapier,
French, the French one-handed
rapier.
Yeah, whatever.
Rapier's good too.
Rapier's.
Hey,
it works here too.
I know.
Alberta.
Okay, yeah. Listen, I'm dyslexic. I don't read well.
That's got nothing to do with it, Jimmy. Rapier.
So getting back to the putting the crystals in the asshole, is that something you do as well?
It seems rapey.
Just on the weekends.
Is that true?
When he's practicing his Kegels.
Yes or no?
No, there's no crystals in assholes.
Lachlan does yoga. He could show you ways to get him in there easier.
Yeah. Really relax.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
No, I know that. We did a video on the show where he tried to stick Tide Pods up my ass, so I know he knows how to stick crystals places.
Wow.
That was a mock thing.
So, So
that got us
he's
into
the
a
one
lot of
that's
trouble. We shouldn't be talking about that.
Yeah. Don't talk about that, Jimmy. Jesus fucking Christ. I can't believe you brought that up.
because
We
me and
were
my
getting,
damn dead eyes.
we were getting complaint letters from Taiwan.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. Well, listen, Jimmy, I want to say thank you for coming on the program. I want to tell you how much I fucking love you and love the effort that you put into these, the education, the entertainment. And I want to tell everybody listening, watching to this podcast to please go and subscribe to the Jedi Jimmy podcast, wherever you get your fine podcasts. And I got to ask you last question. How big is your Obi-Wan boner? That's coming out pretty soon, March 24th, right?
Oh, I watched the teaser about 47 times. Yeah, I'm excited.
If you type in Obi-Wan Kenobi and then you put translate, you can get a translation of it because he's the Mexican Jedi, so it's all in Spanish.
Yeah.
But we'll get
it's like
Obi-Wan
subtitled here, isn't it?
We'll get a subtitled
Obi-Wan.
version.
Yeah.
Wan. Oh, he likes
that true?
tacos.
You get the are you going to wait for the Spanish subtitles to come out so you can watch it like legit?
But it's super popular because the hot sauce is actually sold out. Like I went to look for it today and it was sold out.
The salsa is good on eggs too.
This is why I don't like to talk Star Wars shit around Lachlan. So next time you bring me on your show, can you please not have him here?
Yes, I will. I promise.
Okay,
Jimmy, I love you, buddy. It was
You're
great to
wild
see you.
and raw, Jimmy.
Yeah, wild and raw. Wild and raw, Jimmy. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks, Locke, for being here as well. Thank you, Linz. Oh, did you get some Lucky Charms?
Can we plug this quickly?
Sure, yeah.
So we're doing a scavenger hunt on Monday. Get lucky with the locker room. We're hiding these around the city. We'll give you clues on where to find them. It comes with a bunch of prizes. All right, that's Monday morning. Jimmy, James Peter White, he's a leprechaun. And it's St. Patrick's Day.
You getting dressed up?
Oh yeah, I've got. I'm booked for 9 hours on Thursday.
I forgot. It's fucking money-making season for you, dude.
$100 an hour.
He gets $100 an hour.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go make that little person money, dude. Go get that dough.
Yeah.
Go get that bank.
I will.
Attaboy.
I'm not giving
Buy that hot tub. Buy that
not giving
inflatable
anything
hot tub
to
for the
Lachlan.
gym.
Nope.
The inflatable
I wouldn't
hot tub
give him
is a good
shit.
idea.
Yeah. But thanks for doing this, Jimmy. James P. White at JP White 957 on Twitter. Give him a follow. Lachlan Cross on Twitter at Lachlan Cross at Ryan Lindley
Make
on
sure
Twitter.
you wash the outfit this weekend there, Peter.
It's a little rank.
It's Patty, not Peter.
Ah,
All right.
Peter.
Whatever.
Oh, tickle my gold pot of gold.
Talk to you soon.
You guys have a great weekend.
Yeah. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Appreciate it. Lachlan Cross, Ryan Lindley, James P. White, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for us. Have a great day. We'll see you on this very program on Monday. I am finito. Bye.